Hello everyone and welcome to another pick a card reading. I hope you're all doing really well. And this pick a card reading is kind of delving back into my old favorites of readings, which is delving into the shadow. So this reading is about messages from your shadow, or a message that really particularly wants to come through at the moment from your shadow. Now that this is a timeless reading, so you can be watching this at any time, the time that you find it is right for you. But I've chosen 3 very special decks, and then I've also got my other deck, which is a shadow deck, to have a look at these messages and what you need to bring to light. So pile 1, pile 2 and pile 3 are the piles to choose from. Pile 1, this is the Tower of the Holy Spectrum. Pile 2 is the Luminox Tarot. And pile 3 is True Black. Pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, a message from your shadow or messages from your shadow. Timestamps will be in the description box below, and I'll see you at your reading. Bye. Pile 1, hello and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Tower of the Holy Spectrum. Maybe you were attracted to this kind of like black back of the card deck. I do also have other cards that I have shuffled and pre-chosen for you. I don't know what they are, as normal. So I don't know. There's 2 things I'm getting here. You either don't know, you have no idea what your shadow is wanting to say to you, or, you know, sometimes looking at your shadow is almost like looking into a void. I'm just aware of how much like black and white we've got going on here, or black muted tones with this kind of like, you've got a slight bit of colour here, purple with the blues as well, going into the purples, which is interesting. So there is something that's connecting you from your shadow self into your higher sense of your consciousness. So I don't know if you've had any associations with your shadow self being something that should be pushed away, or should be kind of not really, is not a higher part. I don't know, maybe there might be some kind of, maybe consider that there may be messages from something more divine that is expressing itself within the shadow, which is really interesting, because when a lot of us think about the shadow, we don't really look at something that's going to be seen as higher or more than. We look at things that we don't want. We look at things that we want to push away, that we don't want the world to see. And I think it's really important, like, to make sure that we look at this in a really objective way, because the shadow is essentially who we are. It's just the parts of us that we don't like. But it's very important to integrate those parts, because if we don't, then we run a risk of that part being so under control that it ends up being, well, taking more of our energy than we really want. So let's start with this card. Wow, the Shaman. Interesting. So there is something about you healing yourself and healing others through doing this thing where you're looking at this message, that the message from your shadow is saying about there's something for you to teach others in what you learn here right now. And it's also something to do with something dying within yourself that isn't necessary anymore. And it's almost transcending into a space. Very interesting with this deck. This is one of my favorite shadow decks. I rarely use this deck for anything else but shadow. There's another deck that I will be using to clarify, which are my 2 like main shadow decks. But the shaman is the wounded healer. Very much in the sense of Chiron, who was the wounded healer, and also by the knowledge of their wounds, that's how they were able to help others, but also acknowledging the fact that they do have these wounds, and this is an ongoing process. We're never fully healed, and that's part of being human. My opinion, of course. So let's have a look at, which one do I want to go for next? Well, I'm touching this one, so let's have a look at this. Okay, so we've got the past. We've got grief, identity, and forgiveness. It looks a bit like Benedict Cumberbatch, no? Anyway, the past, it was reversed. So what's really interesting is that, sometimes I read these cards upside down, sometimes I don't. If this was the right way up, I probably would think that there's something about the past that you've let go and you've learnt from. But whereas it's reversed, I'm thinking that there is something about grief, identity, forgiveness. There's something that you're not able to let go of just yet. And you're still working with that. And it's a ghost because of this white, and then we've also got this kind of this white kind of image, which I think might be the same guy. I'm not sure. They've got the same kind of hairstyle. But then you've also got these kind of images, and it looks a little bit like an owl. So there is something about, there's a part of you that needs to kind of be transcended, to be let go of. And I also got that when we were in space here, because I got the idea of these skulls here, something dying, but then it needs to be let go of, transcended, transmuted into something else. And there's still something that's being held onto here. So I'm going towards here. So I'm going to, and this is what deck really actually inspired this reading. This is the Inner Mask Oracle by Cat Crow, and an incredibly deep and intense deck, really good for shadow work. So let's have a look at what messages it has for you. It is reversed. I don't know if I'm going to read it reversed though. We'll see. Wow, don't know if you can see that. That's the 12th mirror, and it's called Initiation, Reinvention, Choosing Paths, Reconciliation. So, this is deep. So, basically, you've got this kind of mirror image, and they're stepping out of the mirror, and they're deciding which path that they're going to take. Now, with it being reversed, it means that you're kind of still in the mirror. You haven't taken the steps forward. You're literally on a precipice to move forward, and it's almost like there's some kind of destiny that's awaiting you to go forward. I always resonate with part one. This is the fear is real. So it's almost like the safety of being within the mirror and being there. We can reflect on ourselves as much as we want. We can annihilate our soul for as much as we want. We can flagellate. We can do all the stuff that we want to do to say that we are looking inward and doing the stuff. But there's something very important about taking action. And it's really interesting because I've been watching a few... I watch a podcast called Diary of a CEO with Steve Bartlett, who's an incredible interviewer. And really kind of, I'm really grateful for his insight because he asks very pertinent, difficult questions to people. Him and Lex Friedman, I highly recommend their podcasts. And what he had Simon Sinek on the show, and this is like his 4th time. And some of the past times that Simon Sinek has been on there, I kind of buy into his philosophy a bit, but then sometimes I just thought it was a bit removed. And then now the latest one is like that he actually realizes that not many people are really listening to what he's saying because the audience are not there. So some people can kind of go into this space where they kind of get scared about what they're doing, and sometimes maybe not even take a step forward into the initiation that they need to partake in to do the work. But there's something here that your shadow's saying that there is fear here. I'm feeling a lot of fear. So let's have a look at what this has to say. Balance, wow. And what I'm getting from this card is that it's not one or the other. It's either, you have to have balance. And it's really interesting because like Simon Sinek was saying that, like, look at everything in balance. If you give one thing, another thing has to be like, if you give one thing, another thing has to give way. So like, for example, I haven't been uploading a lot of videos on this channel because I've been absolutely inundated with my dissertation. And now that my dissertation is finished, it's kind of like, oh wow, okay, now I need to throw myself like back into work. But I'm utterly exhausted because I just expended a load of stuff into that. And I was dealing with some really intense stuff, which I didn't anticipate would expend so much energy of my own self. And then it wasn't until I wrote the acknowledgements and saying thank you and understanding the reason why I did the whole thing, then I realized, oh my God, I've actually like excavated some part of my soul and being, and not even just my own soul, but my whole history of my family's soul, like, you know, because I did it on ancestral trauma. So it's very, you know, I went deep. And I thought I could get away with it because I was dealing with other people's ancestral trauma and not my own. But lo and behold, your own comes up. So I think if you understand that everything kind of has a cost, and understanding that sense of balance is going to be really helpful for you to be able to balance those two things out. When we think of approaching our shadow and integrating our shadow, there's a space that shadow takes up. And we can't just flood it with light in order for it to be integrated. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Sure, when you start to do that work, you can see significant changes. And maybe if you're in the precipice of being able to integrate those changes, then things start to slot into place. But not everything works like that, you know. You will see some significant changes after some things, but some things you won't. They'll be very small and incremental. And I think because we look for the big shifts, they really, you know, that kind of makes us, you know, take notice, sit up and think, oh yeah, I'm actually doing something. I've changed my life. I've done this, blah, blah, blah. When we really should take into account about the small incremental changes or the small things that keep us in checks and balances. So that's something to look at, because like we've got a hamster wheel here kind of thing, and then we've got this other wheel here, and also there's the moon as well, which I felt was quite prevalent within this time, even though I am reading this at the time of the new moon, I think, that there is very much moon energy about this reading, because the shadow is the moon is, you know, it's often in shadow, and it only reflects the light of the sun. So, anyway. Wow, Hokmah. Uranus, second sphere, virtue, devotion, vice is chaos, wisdom. Survey the circling stars as though you yourself were in mid-course with them. That is Seneca. The key word is intuition, conceptualization. The law is rotation and wheels within wheels. Wow. And you've got this beautiful picture of the zodiac, and you've also got Stonehenge. What that is, I have no idea. A stick with a blue stone. Random. Yeah, so but Hokmah is the second sphere, which is from the idea of nothing going into something, which is usually considered as the male kind of principle, because it's the actual creation of something. Very, very loose kind of connotation towards like Adam in the Bible, you know, the first man. But that's just a very, very base comparison. Please don't take that. You know, it's just something to illustrate the point. It's not, you know. And it's only a reading and just my opinion and understanding, so don't come for me. Yeah, so, but yeah, the idea that this is about you bringing into understanding the knowledge that has come from this transmutation, come from this energy, and come from this understanding of yourself and how you're able to keep yourself in balance. I really feel that you've maybe gone through something that has basically brought into light the sides of you, and now you're deciding which sides or what parts you want to take forward. That's what I'm getting here. And that's why it's black, because it's almost like you don't know. You don't know. So let's get a little bit more. I just can't believe I've spent so long on the cards already, but let's go into the thing. I knew this was going to be a long reading. I will probably put a warning at the beginning. So yeah. Can I just also say well done to those of you who are deciding to go on this path of being able to do this work. It's pretty tough. This path is not easy. Okay, so we start off with the Knight of Cups. Couple of knights. So we've got like a driven kind of like element here. Hierophant reversed. The Lovers. Wow. Definitely on a journey. Too many? Just two more, please. So no, I'm going to give you 3. 2. Thanks. 4 of Wands, and we also have the 7 of Wands reversed. Right, okay. So, I'm just going to say this, like, I think that something to do with your personal relationships bleeds into kind of the way that you want to lead your life. And the reason why I say this is because there's a real kind of like want to share, communicate, to give love, to share a voice with the world, to share your heart with the world, and a real desire actually, yeah, share your heart and your voice with the world. You know that it's a very different thing. You know that it's something that is not like normal. It is definitely from a divine aspect. So that matches with what I was saying in that respect of, you know, that it's not just about you regurgitating some kind of doctrine that you'd learned from earlier. This is about kind of a divine channeling. That's why it's shadow. And for me personally, there's like 2 aspects of shadow, or not even shadow. Well, sorry. There's many aspects of shadow, but like this is to do with ego, because we've got Knights and we've got the Hierophant. And then we've also got Wands and the Lovers. So the Lovers is about bringing things back into balance, which is kind of what we have. It is upright. So there's something, you've got some good stuff on your side to like help you do this. And I mean, with those Knights as well, it kind of tells me that, you know, you've got, there's something very, very good here. Very, very good. So in terms of drive, right? So it means that you're on a path to being able to do this. Like there's a determination within you to heal this within you. You're not looking to shy away from it. You're looking to go in there gung-ho, right? I think that, you know, you're bringing something that's very different. It's very different, but it is divine. You're also showing people how to love themselves in a much better way than they had done before, so that they can live better lives. And also you're helping them to love their own demons, to love their own like sense of self. It's really interesting actually, because in a way you're helping people you know, love their shadow, or just appreciate the value that their shadow has. Whatever work you may do, like, I don't know, you might even just like be volunteering on a phone line or something like that. But even then, in the way that you put yourself across and how you give service in that respect, that really helps you to, you know, face your own shadow in that respect. It's so ironic because of what I've just been watching, because in that podcast, and this is the second one he did, or third one, he did one 11 months ago, which was the Stephen Bartlett and Simon Sinek one. But he says that we have a massive section on self-help when you go into a bookshop, but we don't have any sections on helping others and learning how to be there for others. And I think that's really important, because like in the last couple of years, and particularly with the events of recent, we have been so involved in about how certain things affect us and how it affects how we are, what we do, and how we come across in this society, particularly now because everything's changed. So how do we engage with ourselves as well as other people? So it's almost like everything's come into under the spotlight and been like, right, okay, how can we really do this from an authentic space, but yet manage this sense of disconnect that we've had with people? And the only way that we can really do that is by kind of going into ourselves and being able to really examine where the spaces were that we were seeking validation or external kind of love from elsewhere, and understanding that about ourselves. Now, I don't think that means that we should stop doing it. I think in a way it actually means that we should be thinking about why we're doing certain things and about how we're doing certain things. So, and it also enables us to have more kind of resiliency within our society and ourselves. So what I'm getting here more than anything is that there's something about you stepping out onto a path, yeah, and you not being able to kind of move forward with that. Now, I've just remembered my other point. There's two sides of ego. There's the ego that is the big I am, and then there's the ego that is the little I am. Right now, I'm getting the sense of the little I am, you know, because there's this trepidation, there's this sense of fear that's coming here. There's this kind of unrealized potential that's happening, and you know that this is actually where you're supposed to be going. I love how all of this is like black and white, and then we've got the color here, and the one that is black and white is the Hierophant, which is reversed, which is actually the divine knowledge. And then these are all kind of the material. How do we transmute it into the material, which are like the base colors? You know, we've got green, yellow, blue, and red. And then we've got this purpley kind of color, which is the kind of connection to the divine. So I feel like this is about you really accepting yourself and accepting the things that you do. They may be kooky, they may be weird, they may be something that is not widely recognized and not something that is normal by standards of society, and maybe quite difficult, but it is what makes you happy. And obviously if you're not hurting anyone, do you know what I mean? But like with these nights here, there's a real desire to kind of like push things forward. And I'm telling you, once you do this, things will significantly change within your life. I will say that with confidence because of this here. It's almost like it's waiting for you to take the step, and everything else that you want is on the other side of fear. It really is. You just have to be brave enough to do it. You really do. Okay. Wow, 25 minutes. Right, okay, so okay, let's start going into this because these readings are always long. My shadow readings are always long. If you look at like my first shadow reading, I think that was pretty deep, but I was kind of like cutting into stuff here. I like to think that like some of you that have come to watch my readings, and if you're new here, welcome, well done for delving into these. Do check out the other readings that I've done on the shadow. But this one is almost like I know my shadow. How am I gonna like work through it? Wow, 6 of Swords, love it. Okay. 9 of Swords. Oof, okay. 9 of Swords, and that's the 2 Knights. I've got to do something. So King of Cups, the Hierophant. I love that, the eagle with the third eye. Yeah, I'm resonating quite a lot with this. Page of Pentacles reversed. Butterfly Snow Vixen reversed. Okay. That's a lack of commitment to oneself, right? So it kind of says to me that there needs to be a sense of commitment to oneself. Because if this energy is really scattered and you're not able to like focus this energy in the way that you need to, this 9 of Swords will become like this overwhelming wave, the overwhelmed sea turtle. Love this deck so much. It will be overwhelmed and you will not be committed. You'll be digging holes everywhere looking for water, as opposed to sticking with it. Wow, we've got a lot of swords going on here. We've got the 4 of Wands clarified by the 10 of Swords. We've got 6, 9 and 10. All right, so you're going through a bit of a revolution in your thought process and patterns. And then the Tower reversed, the burning tree. Okay. I mean, so the Tower is 2 things for me. It's either that you're not allowing yourself to like go through these changes, or you're going to help people in that same position. I'd like to think it was the latter. I don't know though. I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. The 9 of Wands. The darkness before the dawn. Okay, right, so your shadow is asking you for a sense of commitment. It's asking you for a sense of commitment in understanding what it is and knowing that there is fear in these times, knowing that it causes you to go into certain patterns of behavior that feel safe. But now it's ready for you to take action on what you're doing. Because the King of Cups can ride this storm, no problem. We've got 3 sea cards here. Actually, no, it's just an old tree, sorry. It looked like the sea. Interesting though. So it looks like a wave. But you know, the 6 of Swords means that you do understand that you need to go somewhere else. You need to do something else in order to move on. So you've got that understanding intellectually. That's great. There's a lot of intellectualization going on here, but you know, as we all know, it doesn't matter how well that you think something out. The situation, you know, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's really interesting to recognize that you do have this tendency, or there may be a tendency that there may be this sense of feeling overwhelmed, feeling that you can't deal with certain things, so it may cause you to react in certain ways. And I think once you understand that sense of the subconscious, really like having those raging waters going on underneath, it will give you the idea to be able to, or the ability to be able to float up to the level of the chief eagle. The chief eagle has the third eye here. This is amazing. And the reason why I said I resonated with this is because I do a lot of journey work, because I'm a shamanic practitioner. And then in this work, I've been seeing, in my journeys, I've been seeing an eagle. I've been seeing something very strong of an eagle. Eagle's been coming very strongly, even so much that I see totems of it in this world here. Like, and it's really lovely when that happens. You should watch out for that. If you find like any kind of like, if you have any particular animal totems that come to you in your dreams or anything like that, if they resonate, and then all of a sudden you'll see, like, say for example, you see a butterfly in your dream, and then you see like a butterfly, like, you know, and a particular color of butterfly, it might be interesting to like just know what that means for you, or if that means anything. I just noticed something as well. We've got the number 6 here, and we've got the number 4 here, and this is the number 5. So it's almost like you need to go through, you need to obtain a sense of perspective from this situation in order for you to move on, so that you can achieve some kind of detachment to engage in a plan of action. Because right now there's like some kind of like, there's some kind of tie up in the drama right now, and you need to be away from that. Need to be away from that. The Tower is drama. It is drama. But what I'm getting here is that, and this is, it's interesting because when we get involved in this drama, usually I would read this card as you know, your ghosts overtaking you, your ghosts overpowering you. You know, you can't get over your ghosts. And the Tower is not letting everything burn away like it needs to, you know. Things need to be burnt out completely before they can actually transmute and change. So either your shadow is telling you that there is something that still needs to be burnt out. And in order for you to be able to do that, you have to gain some kind of perspective, which you've got. And it's not even a question. You have it. It's there. But it's up to you whether or not you want to go into the King energy, or if you want to go into the Pentacle energy. I'm sorry, Page energy. And you're not a page. You're not a page. Definitely not with Hokmah or the Shaman. And not just that. This is 12th mirror initiation. It's not like, you know, oh yeah, I'm just stepping through this. It's almost like you're a seasoned veteran at this. But now it's time for you to like put that crown on and really assume responsibility. That's what your shadow's saying to you. It's about you being able to assume responsibility and burn it all out. Burn your bridges and burn everything that you need to in order to really achieve balance and a clear level playing field for you to build the future that you want to. Powerful message, pile 1, powerful. Let me just see. Okay, right. So we've got a bit of a lighter tone going on, as you can see. There's a bit of pink here. I've got a bit of pink and a bit of sparkles, so hopefully that will kind of alleviate the heaviness of this first part of the reading. So I think Brittany, I don't know, like when I looked at the decks to choose for this, I just thought Brittany wants to come out. She wants to say some stuff, and Brittany's been through a lot. So I think we've got some good advice from Brittany. Let's see. Oh my God, the badass. And look at that. Look at that. The black and white. Yeah, the black and white. I love that. I love that. So, you know, this is actually from her song Womanizer. And it's really important for you to like know all of the songs that came from the things. And if you're a Britney fan, that's even better. But if you're not, Womanizer is a really like kind of intense track. Like where, you know, she's catching her boyfriend like cheating on her by being another woman, and he doesn't even recognize her. So it's almost like you've got to trick yourself into being your best self. You have to go into a space where you can kind of like really embody this sense of maturity. And and status so that you can move into the higher version of yourself. So that's what I'm getting from that. Okay, and this is some advice from the love oracles, because I think we all need love. Wow. Marilyn Monroe, love it. Orgasms don't exist. It's better to spend your time reading Ulysses. Okay, enjoy your wedding day. You only get to do that 3 or 4 times in your life. And never pick stability over a good time. So what I'm getting here is that you need to understand the differences between taking a chance or taking a risk and going for what is safe. And right now, there's something about you taking a risk. You have to take a risk right now. Obviously within reason, but like there's something about you being able to walk away from what had happened before, and just go for it. Just go for it. What's really interesting is that you've got one comment here: orgasms don't exist. It's better to spend your time reading Ulysses. Now, Ulysses is an age-old, the Roman, really interestingly, not the Greek, the Roman version of the Odyssey. Now, with the in respect of, like, you know, you reading or gaining advice from something that is timeless, there's also this sense of like never pick stability over a good time. So it's almost like enjoy the time you have, because you don't know when, you know, so it's always good to take chances. It's good to like just take advantage of the opportunities that you do have. And we're not talking about being reckless. We're talking about, you know, just taking time to choose the things that make you happy rather than the things that you believe that you should do. And I think that might help here, you know, because I think, you know, risk doesn't have to be something so big that we endanger ourselves. It just means that we push our boundaries just a little bit further. Not the boundaries that we need to maintain in order to like keep ourselves healthy, but like in terms of pushing us into new territories to expand ourselves in a way. And I think that's what's actually really more kind of coming through with this card. And not only that, also enjoy your wedding day. You only get to do that 3 or 4 times in your life. That's up to choice, isn't it? So like, if you want to get married 3 or 4 times in your life, I'm sure you can do. Many people do. So it's not a problem. But people, obviously, they think, oh yeah, I'm only going to get married once. You know, it is what it is. We just live our lives the way that we want to. And as long as we're not hurting anybody, then it's fine. So I think that that's kind of like a really important thing here. Don't compromise your own happiness for others. Wow, throat chakra, angelite. We've got acceptance and wholeness. And then we've got I accept what I cannot change. And I acknowledge the wholeness of my being. What did I just say? I accept that I cannot change, like in the respect of like, you know, you being happy and you choosing your own destiny and not really living to the stuff of other people. And then you've also got I acknowledge the wholeness of my being, which is the integration of the shadow. That is understanding that, you know, the shadow is all of me. You know, those parts, that's all of me. I'm going to do the best I can. That's all I can do. And, you know, that's how it is. You know, you can't, not everybody's going to like you. You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, but not everybody likes peaches. So there we go. We just do what we can. Right, okay, and to close out the reading, I've got a moon card here. And then we've got this card here, which is I think it's Alphecca. Which is fulfillment and serenity. It is between the constellation of Mercury and Venus, and also in the constellation of, it's between those planets, and it's in the constellation of, or near the constellation of Scorpio. Watching things grow at their own pace can be more rewarding than attaining them. Wow. So this is about the journey. This is about your journey, pile 1. Your journey is the life. Your journey is the thing. So it's all about making sure that each of those steps are in congruency with who you are, as opposed to like, you know, thinking about a long-term goal or something that's like gonna happen, or the big thing that's gonna happen at the end of this journey. It's really interesting, you know, you've got real power here, but it's almost like you're scared to kind of go forward with it. So get yourself some angelite if you can. I do have some, but not here. But angelite is very good in terms of like understanding who you are. But there's also a lot to digest here, so just take it easy. And also remember, this is only a reading. You know, just a tarot reading. If you want a personal one, you can get in touch with me via email. But otherwise, I hope you found this useful, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe for more videos. But otherwise, my darlings, thank you so much for giving me your energy. I really appreciate you. I think you're all amazing. And remember, honesty is always key. Bye. Hello, Pile 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Luminox Tarot with this gorgeous back kind of horizon. We do also have this kind of mirror image that's going on in respect to the shadow. I'm seeing hopefulness here. Light, hopefulness, possibility, joy, but almost like not really knowing if it's an illusion or is it something, is this a real life or is it just fantasy? Caught in a landslide or escape from reality. Wow. That song just came to mind. Just to let you know that the first reading for group 1 was pretty intense, so just buckle yourselves in for a ride for this one. And as I started your reading, the time was 2:22, so quite interesting. I did also see it was like 2:21, and then I waited until 2:22 to start your reading. So yeah, there's two perspectives here. There's two viewpoints, two ways of looking at things. As you can see here, we also have like these two here, two faces going outwards, two sides of the tree here. But at the moment, that's really all we've got for the kind of like twos. And what I see is really the connection of the color that's also coming. So it's almost like the shadow is trying to find some kind of body. Some kind of like seeking to realizing itself. It wants to express itself in a certain way. As opposed to like pile 1, which was like an actual message that was being delivered, that, you know, this is more kind of like a realization of a part of the shadow. I'm going to deal these cards, but I'm not going to turn them over until, like, I did start with the other deck beforehand. Sorry, with the oracle cards initially, but I don't know, with you, like, I'm feeling to kind of explore with the tarot first. So I'm going to just do the cards first, and then I'm going to turn over the oracle cards. For those of you who've watched my readings before, shadow work is kind of like something I really enjoy doing, and I really enjoy reading about. Please do remember that these are only readings, tarot readings. They should only be confirmations of what you already know. So please don't take these for gospel or for something to judge your life by. These should only be kind of affirmations and confirmations of what you already know. But also there may be some issues where I will be looking at shadow. So this is something quite deep, something not very, you know, it's not all fluffy bunny rabbits or like hopium that usually come with these kind of readings. Obviously I'm not like all doom and gloom, but these are about aspects of yourself which you don't like. The shadow is described as the part of yourself which you don't like. So in that respect, just be aware that that's something that we may be looking at. Okay. It's almost like needing to know what your options are before you move forward into that space is necessary. Okay, and the first card I'm going to turn over, I feel to turn over this one. Okay, this was the deck that really actually inspired this reading, the Inner Mask Oracle. And it's a very deep deck. And here we've got the Sixth Veil and its guidance. The Cheshire Chameleon, instincts and warnings. And it's reversed. So before I turn it around, let me just have a little look at this. First thing that this reminded me of is a tree that I remember taking a photo of, which was all kind of hollow inside, like it had been rotted away. But then the outside of the tree was kind of flourishing. If you were to look from it from afar, you would see that it was just flourishing. So it's almost like you're needing to look deeper within something in order for you to gain a better sense of insight about it. Also, if there is something about it that is kind of signifying that there may be something that you need to have a deeper investigation, further investigation with, I think that's important to recognize. With it being reversed, it says to me that there's some kind of thing that's being overlooked here. You're not looking at something. And I mean, this would match the kind of like energy that I'm getting from the cards here, in the respect that there's a sense of illusion. This mirror image. I'm also working with like kind of the moon energy in mind. So it's almost the reflection as opposed to the reality. So that's very interesting. Let's see what your archetype is. The Sustainer. Okay, so we've got 24 there. Number 6, the Lovers. What I'm getting from that is sometimes we have to adhere to a particular mindset, mind frame, paradigm, way of thinking, because other people are more comfortable in that space. So are we doing something to stay within a safety net of keeping people happy, of keeping people within a safe space? Oh, it's better that we don't tell them that because, or it's better that they don't know that because, you know, what they don't know won't hurt them, or, you know, keeping information at bay. Now, I'm a massive proponent of telling people the truth outright and letting people decide. It's not always the best option, but, you know, I'd much rather know the truth up front rather than not know the truth. But what's really interesting is that people don't feel that the same way. They will keep secrets way up until they're dead or their grave, because, you know, sometimes, and I don't know if you found that with funerals, but sometimes those places are very, very interesting spaces where secrets get revealed and we start to understand things about people. I think it's important to understand, like, what are we keeping in a box in order for us to like take care of something, and are we really, is this thing that we're taking care of, is it really something that's necessary to take care of in this way? Is what we're doing part of the plan? Is it legit? Meaning that, is this something that really actually works in congruency with the values of the plan, or is it to do with just to please people, you know? So I think that that's something to consider here. This card is reversed and it is freedom. Interesting. And it looks, and it's Lilith, sorry. It's Lilith, not freedom. Interesting how I said freedom first, but I saw the devil, you know? Independence, freedom, sexuality is reversed. Okay. Let me have a look at something else. Cancer reversed. Yin eye. Wow. The 26th path working of Capricorn. Hard. Tippereth. Tarot the devil. That's what I saw. The light bearer. Connecting the so-called temptation with its actual effects allows you to understand that indulging might actually be worse than resisting. The urge begins to lose its appeal. In this way, self-control becomes the real pleasure and the temptation becomes the regret. Daily Stoic. Interesting source. Daily Stoic. Who said that? That's by, I think it's Ryan Holiday, I think, but I don't know who this person's sources are. We've also got the Eye of Horus, which is that sense of understanding everything, and of the sun, of the personality of truth. Virtue, faith, sense of humor. Vice is temptation, distraction, and illusion. So it's really interesting because Cancer and the Sustainer, they have very similar qualities in the respect of people trying to keep the peace in order to make sure that everything is a loving situation. In many cases, they can be enablers. This is what I'm seeing here as an enabling energy, if I'm honest. Something that allows people to be a certain way when really it could be quite harmful. And also this whole like path working of Capricorn, it's almost like that this is an energy that's allowing people to be a certain way. Same with Lilith being reversed. What comes to mind is the idea that, you know, you can do what you want and then that's okay, you know. And because people have been able to get away with it, then that's fine. Now we've all got our own kind of like opinions on that. Me personally, I think it's very destructive. And this is just my opinion. But what I will say is that, like, okay, so we've got 24. 24, that equals to 6 veil. This is a warning. Yeah, it's a warning. That if you continue to do this, that I don't know, there's something about the tree being hollow. And, you know, the fullness of the tree will not be experienced in its, like, kind of outright if this kind of behavior is allowed to continue. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's something about it that feels very toxic. And toxicity may be your thing. I don't know. Because, like, you know, we've got Lilith there reversed. But Lilith in her upright state is, you know, independence, freedom, sexuality. And it's interesting how I looked at freedom before I looked at Lilith. So, I don't know, you know, those kind of practices where people are, you know, doing things where, like this kind of like enabling kind of situation is almost like this propensity of freedom that's being kind of highlighted. People think, oh, well, I'm allowing them to be as free as they want to be. But then if people are allowed to do whatever they want, then how are they able to like enable any kind of, or to engage in any kind of boundary setting or something which allows them to feel a sense of real power? We're talking about the person who's enabling here. Now, this is quite tricksy energy, actually, because there's this sense of freedom. It's really interesting. We've got this kind of like quite sexy, beautiful character here, and then we also have Lilith, but they're both reversed in this kind of like nurturing thing here. I don't know, I just get this sense of entrapment. It's almost like a sense of control. So the very freedom that is being kind of expressed or being said to be expressed is actually an illusion. And that's kind of the shadow side of Cancer, where, and I know this from personal experience, where like people who are, you know, people who believe that they're doing things in a protective way, but actually not only they're enabling, but they're and allowing some kind of detrimental behavior. There is also some kind of like control that is going on with the people that they are enabling. So this illusion of freedom is not really, is not real. It's BS. So, no punches being pulled here. If you don't like it, please switch off and, you know, choose another pile or choose another reading. I'm not going to pull any punches here. This is shadow stuff. So, yeah, we're just going to go for it. Right, okay, we've got the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. More so Cancer and Pisces. Cancer and Scorpio. The Devil reversed. Interesting. So do you know about this then? The Star reversed. Okay. The Knight of Wands. Interesting. The Ace of Pentacles. Right. The Ace of Swords. Interesting cards, part 2. The image that I'm getting in my head is someone who didn't have such a good childhood, so is trying to impart the kind of like opposite with their child, but then in the end is ending up like swinging the other way instead of finding some kind of like realistic balance. There is very good intentions here. Nobody is doing anything on a level where it's being intentional. Like, it's not, you know, nobody's being intentionally malefic, you know what I mean? But the result is coming up as that. The shadow is coming out in its full force. Because there's essentially like a sense of unhappiness that's going on underneath the surface. And I don't know if there's a suppression of personal kind of like desires and wants. It almost feels to me as well like the kind of like person who didn't get something, like say they wanted to be a singer or a dancer or something like that, and then they push their child to do that, but then really the child doesn't want it. That's the kind of thing that I'm getting. And it's really interesting because we've got the Ace of Pentacles here, but we do have the Ace of Swords, so there is an opportunity to communicate here very well. It's just that there's a little bit of brashness there in the respect of like, oh, this is, you know, this is amazing. This will be so good. Actually, that analogy of the kid is pretty on point for this. And interesting that I chose it considering the star. So very interesting. So, you know, what I'm seeing is that this is personal healing that's needed. But what is the shadow trying to say? It's not very clear. Let me have another look, or a deeper look, to clarify. Because there's something not successful about it. And I mean, you will be able to work through this. But I think there's something to do with like letting go completely. That box has to break. There has to be a sense of freedom. And I almost see that in order for it to kind of break free, it would be like the hands kind of like moving outwards like that, and just holding the ball just gently, you know, or just like letting it float, and the box is gone. I just saw the I just dropped all the cards because I got a massive splinter in my hand. Bear with me. So I've just had a quick look at the cards that fell all on the floor. And the card that's come up here, which is the Knight of Wands in this deck, is the It's interesting. Just opened at that bit, which is the Knight of Wands, the kind-hearted moose. I think that's what's going on here. Like, you know, people sometimes they don't realize like the damage that they're doing in like making decisions for people, or trying to, you know, trying to kind of do things where they think that they're helping people, but actually they're not. So I think that's an interesting thing to think about here, because there's a lack of being able to be fruitful in this respect. Okay, so let's have a look. Like, something's not growing as a result of. Okay. So the Page of Swords reversed in the Queen of Cups. The sword-bearing sister. Wow, there we go. The Knight of Wands reversed. Sorry, the Knight of Wands upright. The Six of Swords. The Ten of Wands. The Four of Swords reversed. And the Queen of Wands. Wow. Interesting. I think it's like understanding that the behavior is kind of like really affecting other people, or whoever it is that may be involved in this situation. Whoever is being sustained. Because I think if there's like kind of a recalibration of the of understanding why you're doing it, or why someone is doing that, then you're able to change paradigm. It's almost like you know that something's wrong. There is something here, like you know that there is an imbalance. And what is going on here is that the shadow is taking over, because it's not being acknowledged. That's why there was this sense of like being overlooked. So what happens is when the shadow isn't looked at properly, it seeps out. It's almost like you're trying to push down on a spring that is just like going up and trying to be a spring, you know, and not like a spring of water, right? Because so here you've got the Page of Swords reversed. That I think because it's clarifying the Queen of Cups, there's something about the ability to recognize that you're not looking at something that you should be. Sorry, that was really long-winded. And the Devil reversed. It's almost like, you know, you really want to kind of make it better. But the Six of Swords kind of like tells me that there's a real need to move away from your own sense of disappointment. And what's really interesting about this beautiful Ten of Wands, I love it so much. And also Ten of Wands always has something to do with this beetle. I have a lot of tarot cards that show me about the beetle and the Ten of Wands. It's about whether or not you make the choice to go forward with the burden, or whether or not you choose to kind of like stay. I mean, in this choose to continue with the burden or choose to leave it. With this here, you are choosing to continue because this is what you want. You want to do this, but I think you recognize that it's going to cost. You're recognizing that there is a balance that's needed. And it's interesting about that Knight of Wands. I think what's going on is that you know that something's got to change, because it's not. You can't just not recognize it. You have to recognize it. And this Four of Swords is about the sacred space, about allowing a sense of space to be there. When it's reversed, it means that something needs to be awakened. I don't know if like maybe there's a pushing towards some kind of outcome that's going on here, which would match with the whole idea of like, you know, the parent trying to like make the child like be a superstar when really the child just wants to sit at home and draw, you know, that kind of thing. So it's almost this like relentless energy that's happening as opposed to like coming forward. And because this Queen of Wands is here and reversed, that's almost like, I think that's provoking a reaction. So I don't know if whoever that you're either mentoring or this other energy that's here that you happen to be mentoring or whatever it is, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It could be like a lifestyle or something. And in the example of a lifestyle, it could be that, you know, you're trying to attack a business or trying to make a lifestyle for yourself in a way that, you know, that you can be quite precious about. And then that causes like some kind of like disconnect in the respect of like being a nice person, because the Queen of Wands is a bitch, quite simply. Queen of Wands reversed is a very bitchy, manipulative attitude. And I'm not saying that that's you. I'm just saying that this is the shadow aspect here. So this is like kind of like what's going to come out. And that's very synonymous with Cancer reversed. Because Cancer reversed, like the crab, you know. Have you ever made a crab angry? And also, I think I've said it a few times that, you know, crabs, when they're in a bucket and one of them tries to get out, they pull that other crab down. They don't help it out or let it go. They don't want any crab to leave. So it's very much like, if I'm in this, you're in this too. You're coming with me. You're coming down with me. That's not very nice. So, you know, and because we have this owl as well, it's almost like a bit huntress that is making sure that is being a bit of a dominatrix, being a bit, well, not in that sense, but dominating. So what I'm getting here is that there is an overbearing sense that comes from a place of love. And I don't know what is going on, but like whether or not it's to do with you, you may be noticing it as a personality trait. You may be noticing it as somebody who's expressing it towards you. I don't know how this is coming up. Yeah. But there's a very strong force that is influencing you right now that needs to kind of come to the surface. And this is what your shadow wants to say, you know. This is the message. Your shadow is saying that there's this energy that is here. Okay, so let's see what you can do about it. And I've used some very nice, lovely pink cards here to kind of help. So the first card I will go for is Brittany. Now Brittany's been through the shadow, so Brittany's been through it. So I thought that Brittany would be perfect in giving some advice on how to deal with shadow. Wow, the bubblegum Brit. Okay, so the thing is with bubblegum Brit is the idea that, people thought that she was just this kind of nondescript person, wasn't really appreciated for who that she was. Also, quite hardworking. And also willing to be of service to other people. But there's a sense of being overlooked. That comes back to what I saw here. So I don't know. Is there something about yourself that you are overlooking? Like maybe you're assuming something about yourself that maybe that's what's feeding into that sense of like overprotectiveness or like animosity that is going on. Because I don't know, I just get the sense of underappreciation here, pile 2. Like I feel like you're not fully appreciating yourself. So I think that maybe some sense of like self-care could really come into play here. Like maybe, yes, taking time for yourself so that you're not so that you're maybe not expressing so much of this negative Queen of Wands energy. Maybe more kind of, yeah, just taking time for yourself and recognizing the fact that, you know, you do work hard and making your own ice cream and loving it and drinking that milkshake. I think that's what it's about. It's about, you know, looks aren't everything, and, you know, being appreciated for your hard work and your beauty, because you are an incredibly beautiful being, pile 2. It's just, I don't know, like, I don't know if you're too scared to like let yourself out in a way. So that's another paradigm that I could express in this reading, that, you know, this could be all towards yourself. This could be all towards yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to express this because you may be thinking, no, I can't do that. Or, you know, no, that's not for me. Or, you know, that's out of my league. Or, you know, it's not my game, or whatever. Yeah. I think it's time that you started to realize that, let yourself be free a little bit. Turn this around. Become this Lilith. Turn this around. You know, these are you, the embodiment, not that. And the way to like do that would be like to understand, you know, what, you know, if you're hiding so much away, you know, if you're pushing the shadow down, the shadow, as I said, it expresses itself in a really negative way when you don't, you know, and I feel like quite a lot of suppression going on here, pile 2. So there's something about unboxing and unveiling and allowing yourself to be. Something about, yeah, somewhere where you can express your emotions and feel free about things. I don't know what that could be. I mean, if you want to look at it in the most like basic format, you could look at it as journaling. Journaling is a fantastic way of being able to do that in a safe space and environment. So maybe think about that to start off with, and then maybe you can come up with some ideas on how to express that in a safe way. Okay, right, so yeah, we'll go with crystal next. So Sunshine Aura Quartz, this is solar plexus chakra rejuvenation, expansion. I take time to rejuvenate my energy. I choose to expand my perspective. So, I mean, that goes pretty well with the fact that, you know, having to work all the time, or making sure that, you know, keeping on the grindstone and making sure things are just so, or just careful. I think being able to, even just going out in the sunshine is going to really help you. I think you need to go to the beach as well and go to the sea. The sea would be really good for you, because that's very good at like helping you to release emotion, and also being able to like just release and connect with the divine feminine in a better way. But also understand your own sense of power, because that restrictive movement kind of contributes to someone who's afraid to lose power, someone who's afraid of losing things. So this is about letting it go, and also embracing your own sense of expansion and power within that. So that's really interesting, part 2. So yeah, work with the solar plexus chakra as well in terms of like expanding your sense of power. Well, you can't make it up, can you? Brittany's got something for you, so I don't know if like maybe listen to some of her songs. So this is Oops, I Did It Again, and then this is Toxic. So it's really interesting how we've got the two dynamics here as well. When gambling with love, hedge your bets. Take risk of getting hurt, because in love can be because being in love in toxic, it can be toxic, but the high is amazing. Trust your family to take care of you when you can't. Okay. Now, I mean, obviously, knowing what we know about Brittany right now and her family, I don't know about whether or not that advice would be kind of applicable to her. But let's just go with what is being said right now. I think what mainly is that understanding that the universe is going to be able to take care of you. I think this idea of thinking that you have to take care of everything all the time and be within that kind of like, you know, micromanaged kind of world is not going to be beneficial to your long-term kind of goals. And also, you know, the shadow is that micromanagement. You know, we think that we're being good to other people, but yeah. So there's also like these two extremes here. You know, this was when she kind of like broke out in this time of like, you know, really showing her sexuality. And then this is when she kind of like put across that she was the good girl next door. So where is there this kind of balance? You can see that these two elements may exist within yourself, but I think it's also really important to understand the sense of balance. It's not one or the other. It's not all or nothing thinking. It's not black or white. You know what I mean? There's a balance that needs to be struck here, but there's something very sexual here, and I don't know, like, needing to express it, pile 2. I think there's something like that needs to be expressed in some kind of way, in a safe manner. I don't know what, but there's something. Okay, so to close out the reading, and I hope that helps. And please remember, this is only a reading. This is only a reading. Only take what resonates. I'm just doing a general reading on YouTube. Very general. If you want a private reading that goes deeper into the sense, which often more than not is actually even harder. But just remember, these are not personal. These are just general. Okay, so we've got here Qabalah. I think, God, if I pronounce, I most definitely pronounce that wrong, so I'm very sorry. And that's in Mercury and Saturn, and it's in the 23rd section. I don't know what that means actually, but anyway, it's in the sign of Capricorn. Reduction and devastation. Pay attention to your flaws. In them you will discover your affinity with others. Wow. And I'll be honest with you, like sometimes when we're in this position of sustainer, we sometimes want to overlook that and feel like we're mothering other people to be able to become that. To become better, or there's just some it's like oh, we're the teacher, we're the ones who can't get it wrong. Actually, this kind of shows that your mistakes and showing who you are genuinely is actually going to be a lot more beneficial than it would be if you were going to hide your mistakes and try to present this idea of being perfect all the time, So I think it's important just to realize that. I think that's what your shadow is trying to say to you. It's like, let go a little bit. If you're trying to control everything all the time, then how can anything grow or be free? And I know that there's things that you have in your own life that you want to kind of work through, but just give yourself the space to be able to grow within that, to grow there, rather than kind of like mold the growing process or like train the growing process. Yeah. Pile 2, I hope you enjoyed that reading. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe for more videos. These have been intense readings, but I have enjoyed this. I really am grateful for you letting me read your energy. But otherwise, you take care, have a beautiful day, and remember that honesty is always key. Bye. Hello, pile 3, and welcome to your reading. So the last 2 piles have been pretty intense, so just warning you to buckle up. Do remember that this is only a general reading and should only be a confirmation of what you already know. If you want something more in-depth and personal, please get in touch for a private reading, personal reading. My details are in the description box below. But otherwise, my darlings, let's crack on. You chose the True Black. Now, even though the True Black is named the True Black, we have this beautiful, I have this incredible deck that was gifted to me by the wonderful Helen from Eye of the Serpent Tarot. Thank you. It's this holographic. So it's almost like the sense that something appears one way, but it's not. It's actually something else. So what I'm getting here is that maybe you thought that it was one thing that was coming up to the surface, but actually it's something else. And also it may have some hidden kind of treasures in there that you may not really see initially, which essentially the shadow has all the time. It does have that, but sometimes we're not aware of it because we're so busy trying to shove the shadow into a space where we don't really want it to be. So let's have a look at your cards, and I feel like I want to have this one first. So wow, the energy of Leo. Out of my natural strength grows greater confidence in my abilities. I take pride in helping those around me. By owning my power, I shine. I am strong and fear nothing that can come to me. I look conflict in the face and move forward. I'm big-hearted and I will not be troubled by trifles. I move steadily towards my purpose, calm of mind and cool of courage. I lead, I am a shepherd and not a sheep, and I am successful. Big ideas, big plans with plenty of scope, and I devour with enthusiasm. So if you want to pause it there and read it for yourself, there we go. So Leo, we've definitely got the power of Leo here. Wow, we've got Jupiter reversed. We've got the Eternal Child. All of the cards came up reversed here of these, which is really interesting. The Machine, which is detached, numb and focused, and it's reversed. And this also came up reversed for all of you. So this must be very, very kind of prevalent in terms of the shadow work that we're doing in these readings. And also, this is the deck that inspired this whole reading, really. And this is the Inner Mask Oracle by Cat Crow. I'll be listing the details on how to get this down in the description box below. And we've got the Fifth Veil, which is Refuge, which is community, sanctuary and stability. And it's reversed. So there's a void of something coming out of the fact that there wasn't a sense of security previously. It's almost like there's maybe a possibility of being trapped inside a space where you know that you felt safe, or maybe it's almost, yeah, it's almost like a sense of entrapment, like being trapped in a space where you felt safe, or you felt that you knew that you could take care of yourself, so you decided to stay in this space, or it's what keeps you safe, being in this space and maybe not growing up into, you know, and really taking responsibility. It's interesting what I'm doing with the cards here. I'm not doing this intentionally, but I haven't done this with any of the other piles. There's something about breaking it up and being able to digest it. Maybe not even able to really lay claim to the success that might be available to you. Staying in this kind of eternal child state may be useful for you to disassociate, detach. There also may be a sense of not stabilizing, not being, what's the word? The commitment. And I don't think that that's a purposeful thing, as in like, oh yeah, I want to be a player or whatever. It's nothing like that. It's more in the sense of, and when I see that and feel that, I'm not saying it in a romantic sense, but the context is, sorry, I'm not saying it in a romantic context, but the meaning is the same, because, you know, the idea of like a playery kind of energy means that the sense of commitment is not something that resonates with their values. And here, you know, particularly when we've got this Fifth Veil, Refuge, community, sanctuary, stability. Leo is all about community. Leo is the king that brings their community together. And that may be inspiring in the respect of being this eternal child. And we do have the sun here. But it's almost like there's a sense of not being able to use the fortune that brings. And actually detached and unfocused. I would see this in a way of being detached. It's very, very high priestess energy. seeing detached, but not in a very, yeah, I will go with that sense of non-committal energy, that kind of, if I'm not detached, then I won't be hurt kind of thing. But we need something or somewhere to call home, really, to be fair. So I think it's important to recognize that we need to see it, kind of gain that sense of refuge within ourselves. And that can't be done if we're viewing ourselves in a kind of detached way, particularly if we're numb. In my recent research, like that I've done for my study, one of the trauma responses is a feeling of numbness. People are numb to events. So I don't know, there may have been something that happened. I mean, like, it's interesting because we've got this here, which looks like kind of, you know, somebody trying to seek refuge there. Can you see that? You know, knocking on the door. And then we have this kind of like child energy, but then Jupiter. So it's almost like maybe there was something that happened that didn't allow you to seek refuge, or maybe you didn't get the help that you needed, or something. I don't know. And we will find out. But there's something that caused you to kind of be trapped in that state. And trauma is a trapped state of being. It's almost like a replay of what goes on. Every time that that's triggered, that gets replayed. So, okay, so let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, so we've got the Lovers reversed. We've got the Sun. Beautiful. Interesting. The Sun is very much like you've got some really good fortune. I'd be very interested to look at your chart, Pal. 3, really interesting. I have a feeling you have a lot of trees. Oh, good aspects with the Sun. That's the 8 of Pentacles. The 10 of Wands reversed. The 5 of Pentacles reversed. That's interesting. You also got another card. So that was the... What's this one? This is the 10 of Cups reversed. You got the 10 of Cups reversed. I'll pop that there because it came out unexpectedly. But then you also got the 7 of Pentacles as well. So, I mean... Whatever this is, yeah, is stopping you from feeling a sense of real joy and fulfillment. And I think what happens is that you get to a point where you feel that you think you feel this sense of joy and fulfillment, but then it actually comes with a caveat, and then you realize, actually, I'm not as happy as I thought I was. You're very good at being able to like manage yourself and make sure that you're not feeling alone. But I don't know, there's something here with the sense of self and work that seems to be this, I sense this avoidance energy. I'm not even going to lie about it, Part 3. There's an avoidant energy here. And this avoidant energy comes from either a sense of, I don't know, either a lack of love or there is an imbalance here. Now, we haven't got Temperance reversed. Temperance would be that you had the elements in place. What I feel here is that there's actually something missing. And you know, talking from a shamanic perspective, I don't know, there seems like some kind of, like, I don't know if you've ever thought about soul retrieval or anything like that, but like I think this might be quite something useful to think about, because there seems like there's something missing. And usually when we work with something like soul retrieval, it kind of is about reclaiming the inner child, reclaiming that sense of self. And for those of you who don't know, I just did a master's on this, so like that was that was my subject. So for those of you asking if I'm qualified to do it, I did quite a long time of research on it, so I think I can say it with some confidence. And I think, like, and I don't know, as I said, this is just a general reading. So that as well, before you all come for me, or before some of you come for me, I just want to just make that really clear. I just get the sense that part of the soul has been sent away, or part of the soul has been kind of broken off in a way to kind of like help preserve oneself. And that part wants to come back, because that's what it is. Like, I don't think that the act of soul retrieval comes around to you just because it's a fad and this is the new spiritual thing to do on the block. It's about whether or not, like, if it resonates with you, then that means that it's the thing. It might be something for you. I had the same thing with plant medicine. So, you know, but I would never think of taking psychedelics again. You know, I did it the once and that was it, or the first time to work with DMT. But like, I wouldn't do it again. Like, isn't something that I would jump in and go and do every 6 months. No, absolutely not. But it's something that, you know, takes time to integrate. And I don't know, there's something here, particularly, as I said, like with this here, this refuge card, the Eternal, Jupiter, this is just unfortunate events, and the energy of Leo, meaning that there's something about not being able to have due care taken of oneself. Like, so maybe something you weren't taken care of, or something. You had, like, I don't know, to the outside, like, you seem you've got it all together, Path 3. It seems like you have it, and I don't know, like, this is shadow work, so, you know, this is not going to be anything that you would want anyone to see. But there is something that needs healing. And you know it, because, and it's something that's been neglected. Like, you've chosen not to work on it. You're like, right, no, I don't want to do that. But actually, you're seeing that because you're not choosing to do it, that things don't have as much meaning as they should do. It's funny how those things work out, isn't it? I don't know, there may also be like a distraction here with the 5 of Pentacles, but I don't know, it may also be like the path of healing. But with this Lovers card, crowning stuff, and it doesn't mean that, like, oh yeah, you need a partner or whatever. It just means to me that you made the choice not to engage in that kind, like maybe be in a relationship with other people. And because of that, you know, you're very happy, but then you're also maybe understanding that there's something missing. That's kind of what I'm getting. I'm not saying that that's the exact thing, but it's interesting. The Lovers is a choice that we make. It's not necessarily to do with love. So it's about a choice that we make to kind of fulfill our ultimate happiness. It also means that we don't need to do as much work as we might need to on ourselves. There are certain things that we can just abandon. And, you know, the 10 of Wands is like, right, no, I'm not going to deal with that. Kind of comes back into this kind of detachment. I may distract it with other things and, like, you know, choose not to be alone. That definitely means that you're not alone. So I don't know, you know, but then these two tell me that, you know, there's a sense of dissatisfaction that's not entirely complete. Otherwise we would have the 8. Otherwise we would have the 10. We would even have the 9. If it really worked, we would have the 9 of Pentacles. But no, you have this 8 reversed and the 7. So let's clarify a bit more here. Yeah, you made a choice. And you know, there's some schools of thought that debate on the idea of soul retrieval, like in terms of like why the soul breaks off in times of trauma. But if we were to map out the idea of what happens to the soul within the shamanic world, and then also what happens to, you know, the psyche in terms of trauma, both break off. Like, something happens. So it seems like something happened here. And I, you know, with the Lovers, it's a choice. It's always a choice. Whether or not you are conscious of the choice or not is a different matter altogether. And because it's the Lovers, I kind of feel that the Lovers, whenever we have a Major Arcana card here, Major Arcana is usually not, you know, it's the external situation. It's not you. So you could only, and Court cards and all the rest of it is to do with you. Now, it may even be that it was to do with happiness. And I can just see, look, the Seven of Swords came up. So, I don't know, maybe you were tricked. We've also got the Two of Pentacles reversed, which is probably one of the cards that I would pick. Two of Pentacles reversed, and also, and look, we've got snakes as well. There's something very interesting with the snake here, pile 3. You know, and look, bending over backwards, very interesting. Which is one of the cards that I would say for imbalance. You know, Temperance reversed, the Two of Pentacles reversed. So, yeah, something is not all as it seems. And I definitely know that because you've got the Sun upright, but you've got the Ten of Cups reversed. It's almost like there's the kind of potential, like, maybe even you're presenting the idea that things may be all right. It's really interesting. I'm watching this podcast at the moment called Diary of a CEO with this brilliant interviewer called Stephen Bartlett, who... Bartlett? Or Bartlett? No, Bartlett, not Bartlett. Sorry, that's a different person. And Adam Bartlett, who is a brilliant... card deck creator and also very good at talking about crystals and essential oils. I suggest you check him out as well. But Stephen Bartlett is a CEO. He was also on the British version of Dragon's Den for, like, you know, kind of entrepreneurs and stuff and funding ideas. But what he was saying is that, like, a lot of people that he knows, particularly, like, he had a friend who is a very kind of successful, quote unquote, entrepreneur, but then her personal life is absolute rubbish. So swings and roundabouts, right? We kind of like understand like where, you know, we might have like one kind of aspect where we think where we're kind of portraying this idea of where we are successful and we're having like the greatest like Instagram life or whatever. But really, what's going on? I mean, it's not too bad here, but there is a deep unhappiness. So, you know, there is something. The Hierophant, Master of Keys. Okay, so you had to okay, so I get the idea that maybe you had to do something that you didn't want to be deemed successful. God, that is an image, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe this is just an example, but to give you some context of how I'm interpreting these cards. You were told that you either had the choice whether or not to become a doctor or a lawyer, which happens a lot in like cultural families. Doctor, lawyer, something, you know, that can bring in the money, is a good job. And your art, maybe. Something that you knew that you loved doing and you couldn't do it because, you know, you had to make the choice to do something that was stable, necessary, the right thing to do. And it seems like you're very successful at it. But there's been a cost. For sure. There's been a cost. Wow. And with this card, so we've got the Eight of Pentacles and then we've also got the expansion, the shedding snake. So what I'm getting here as well, which is really interesting, is because, and it's really interesting, like you've got the Eight of Pentacles, which is reversed, which kind of means that there's a lack of like self-work that's going on, or like doing the work. But then we've got expansion here, shedding snakes. So it's almost like you know that you need to do the work. It's almost like, yeah, you know that you need to do it. And then you'll feel better about stuff. It's almost like when someone gives you something rather than you working for it. And that kind of sense of, yeah, okay. So what I'm getting is that maybe some of you were in a job or something that you know that gives you the money or the stability that you need, but it kind of like causes you to like forget a part of your intrinsic self. And then what happens is that through like that kind of path, or that path, you understand that you actually want more than this. 10 of Wands is clarified by the Ace of Cups. Lovely. Okay. So yeah, this is like a breakthrough for you. Okay. Interesting. The Eight of Wands, reverse meteor shower. So you feel like you've had to like work hard not to, you know, it hasn't come easy. It's come quite slowly for you to like really trust the people that are around you. It has given you like so far how life has gone, it feels like things have been okay. You know, it's given you the stuff. It's giving you potential of stuff. I don't know whether there's actual like actualization or like relative manifestation of like what it is, but you know, you've kind of been happy enough, and it's come slow. It hasn't come quickly. It's come, but it hasn't come like quickly, not as quick as it should have done, maybe, given the kind of situation that you were in. And then we've got the Four of Pentacles reversed. Wow. The prudent mountain goat. So I think something's awakening for you, pile 3. Something is awakening through this process. For you I don't know, like something is coming through for you to like be able to work through this. It's really interesting. Wow, the Hermit, the Inner Master. Yeah, okay, I see what's going on. So what it looks like is that you have been aware that your shadow has been trying to tell you this. That your shadow has been like attempting to kind of like communicate this with you. But yeah, there's no but. It's just like this has been the process. And it's almost like you've had to go through this in order to recognize that you have to take this step forward. I think your shadow is saying that you're on the right path. You're on the right path. Because it's almost like seeking refuge within oneself. And, you know, here we have this kind of disassociation and also like lack of refuge. So your shadow self is saying that it's time now to seek the refuge within yourself. Like you're ready to enter the refuge of yourself. You're ready to enter the space where you can now welcome that shadow part back. That's why I kind of got the kind of the flavor of the soul retrieval, because when that part of yourself goes away, you need to be in a space where you are ready to welcome that part back. Otherwise, the part of that part may come back and it will travel with you until you're ready to integrate it back in. It won't, you know, yeah, it won't come back in unless the piece is ready to be, unless it's ready to be received, quite simply. So let's have a look at how you're going to navigate this. Wow, so we've got solar plexus chakra. I allow tranquility to wash over me. I am self-sufficient in my endeavors. Yes, you are. Very much so. Absolutely. And yellow jade, so if you can get any yellow jade, that might be quite nice. But you are totally self-sufficient in this respect. And I think this is about you coming home to yourself. If you, if maybe you check out the book Homecoming by John Bradshaw, that's also a really beautiful book about how to reclaim your inner child. You do need somebody to work through it, because it's very good in doing it like with a partner or something like that. But maybe you have a friend or something like that that you could work through that with. But yeah, check it out. See what you think. Now, I don't know. When I was picking the decks for this reading, I really thought of Brittany, because we've seen a lot happen with Brittany. So I just thought she had some stuff to say about this, and she's been very good so far. So let's see what she's got for your reading. Wow, the yogi. The yogi, the hermit. Now, the way that I see the yogi is more about the dedication to self, in terms of like how you feel that having this sense of self-care and self-nurturance is going to really help you to become the best person that you can be. So that's what I'm getting from that. You know, there was a lot of dedication and training that Britney Spears did in order to become the person that she is today. You know, she's a very, very dedicated, hardworking person. Interesting as well, because she's a Sagittarius, and then we've also got this fire energy as well that's going on here. So I think it's very important. And also like this whole wash of energy, like if you can see, it's all like really quite black apart from, and white apart from the sun here and this sun here. So, and you did get the sun as well. So I think, you know, it's very important for you to get out in the sun as much as possible if you can. You know, eat foods that like, you know, thrive with the sun, that are of the color of yellow, you know, lots of green vegetables, really nourishing yourself, looking after yourself, creating this sense of self and home. There's something very much about this sense of like rest, retreat, being able to delve into oneself and know oneself. Now, I did just get a thought in my head that some of you may be like, well, I do that already, Reena. But there's something else here. There's something else. And, you know, we're like an onion. Consistently, there's always work to be done. The work is never done. So what I've said here is about a welcoming of a part back. So it's almost like you getting that ground ready to receive that part. Rather than you being, oh yeah, I've got to do this other thing. It's not like that. It's about you. You've grown so much to a certain level that's allowed you to kind of house this part again, because it wasn't habitual. You couldn't house this part before, and now it wants to come back. Okay, so we've also got some love advice. Emily Bronte. Wow. If you ever looked at me once with what I know is in you, I would be your slave. All right. Hearts can be broken, but souls should be shared. Love is like the wild rose briar, friendship like the holly tree, but which will bloom most constantly. Wow. So, what I'm getting here is the kind of projection of love. That may be that it's possible for everyone else, but it's not possible for me. But yet I can still be happy. That all rhymed, and that was totally unintentional, but hey, here we are. And I just think this is about being able to understand what it is that you're putting out there. Really looking at how you know, what is it that you're expressing? What is the impact of what you're expressing? And are you really living by your truth in that respect? Because, you know, it comes back to this kind of detached sense that we have. You know, that we put all of our desires and everything that we want so badly into our, you know, in an external place, which is not a bad thing. But then there has to be room for us to like viscerally experience it in order for us to really know what it is. Otherwise we come from it from a detached external position. So this is it. In a way, right, pile 3, you're leveling up. Like this is a level up. But, you know, like you need to get good at stuff before you level up. And this has all been a training in getting up to that point, and now you're going into like the final phase before, or the phase before you kind of welcome this thing back. So really interesting, pile 3. Really interesting. And by the way, if this doesn't resonate, it's, you know, as I said, it's just a general reading, you know, just a reading on YouTube. Just remember that, please. This is nothing, you know, if you want a personal reading or like, you know, to go into deeper journey work, you can contact me on a one-to-one level and we can work through that. But otherwise, remember, this is just general, okay? Just for entertainment purposes only, as Aphrodite says. Right, okay, so we've got Aldebaran, wow, okay, which is Saturn and Venus. So in focus, there we go. Manifestation and magic. Life is a miracle. Life is a magical experience. Become the muse of your own verses. Oh my God, what did I just say? Sorry. Oh my gosh, what did I just say? So you need to be like, you need to be the real subject as opposed to, you know, you imagining. You know, you have to be, there has to be some truth to what you're putting out there. So there has to be like the lived experience. And that's what the yogi does. They take time to experience that. And just because they're a yogi doesn't mean that they have to be on their own. I mean, you do have the hermit here, which is meaning this sense of introspection in order for you to retrieve this. But I just feel that once you've done this, similar to pile 2, once you've done this, you'll be able to embrace a sense of community and possibly even the love, you know, the love that is necessary or that you've wanted or that may be missing. I don't know. But hey, this is just a reading on YouTube, you know, nothing serious. So you'll have to find that out. And hopefully this has helped. I hope you like this reading, my friends. These readings were interesting, I'm telling you. Loved them though. If you liked it as much as I did, please give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe for more videos. But otherwise, my darlings, thank you so much for allowing me to read your energy. It's been an absolute dream. And all the best with your shadow work, your soldiers on this plane. I love you all. Take care. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And remember that honesty is always key. Bye.